Hi, my name is Sue, Sue Tonks, and I'd like to welcome you to the 5th episode in becoming a more effective and confident networker. 2 weeks ago I had the pleasure of meeting Paula Fellingham at the Women's International Conference for the Win over in London, and it was fabulous. First of all, an honour to meet her and to find out how she set up the organisation and what you're about. And secondly, to be able to talk to other women that are also using the Win and developing shows over in the UK. The one thing that we did find out was really important is women need to talk to other women. Women need to build relationships and women need to learn from other women. And networking is a fabulous environment to help you do that. Today we're going to concentrate on one aspect of networking, and that's the preparation and the planning. I don't know whether you know, but you know, the whole of the networking, start to finish, there is a process. And that process, if you imagine, it's like a funnel. You start at the top, you go to the next bit, go to the next, and you work your way through the entire process till you come out at the bottom. We're going to talk over the next few episodes about this process. We're going to concentrate on two aspects of it today. The first aspect is the invitation itself, and the second aspect is the preparation and planning that you need to do before you go to a networking event. So let's have a look at the first bit, the invitation. Well, everything we do in networking is done with the utmost professionalism, courtesy and politeness. So if you get an invitation, then always respond. If you respond positively and you can go, well, that's great. Book yourself on, get yourself there. If you can't go for any reason, then always let the person know that you can't go. I always think it's really good manners to say, listen, I'd really like to attend. Unfortunately, I'm double booked that day, but will you do me a favour? Will you keep me on the list for future events? Because I really would like to join you. In that way, you're keeping the option open for the invitations. If you don't respond back time after time after time to their invitations, then they're just going to cross you off the list. If you can't go, then another thing you could do is get somebody else to go from your organisation and represent you. So they're representing themselves, they're representing you, and they're representing your organisation. Far better than not to have anybody representing your organisation at that event at all. So once you've dealt with the invitation, we now need to do some preparation. And you know, for many people, you know, preparation is non-existent. They'll look at the watch at 5 o'clock, think they've got to realise they've got to be somewhere at an event for 6:30, and they start rushing. Where is it? When is it? How can I get there? What do I need to do? Do I need to take anything with me? And we start going in panic mode. Panic mode is no good if you're going to get the best from yourself. So we need to take a little bit of time out just to do some preparation and planning. Now, preparation planning goes into two parts. The first part we're going to look at today is the part of planning for the event and the logistics. And the second part is the emotional, physical and personal preparation we'll need to do. So let's have a look at the first one, the event and logistics. The first thing we need to know is, where is it? When is it? How I'm going to get there, and most importantly, how I'm going to get back. So that's easy. You know, we can find out how we're going to get there, where it is, how long it's going to take us, all the way through the internet processes these days. The sat nav, all sorts of things. So that should be relatively easy. If I need to be there for 6 o'clock, 6:30, what time do I need to set off? The second thing is, when we've got that information, we need to look at the time. What time do I need to get there? Well, if an event's open, the doors open at 6 o'clock, and then there's a guest speaker starting at 7:30 till 8:30, you need to ask your question, what time do I need to arrive? Well, here's a tip. First of all, no point going to any event and getting there for 7:25 and leaving at 8:35 and only being there for the guest speakers. You are not going to talk to anybody or meet anybody or build relationships when the guest speakers are speaking. So that's a total waste of time. If you feel a little bit worried, nervous, anxious, scared before you go to an event, then my tip is always get there early, 6:15-ish. Now that's not to make the whole event drag out and make it more painful if you're feeling worried, nervous, anxious and scared. That tip is so that it makes it easy for you, because if you get there at 6:05 or wherever, there's very few people there, and other people, when they come into the event, they have to come and join you. And it's a lot easier for you when other people join you than it is for you to have to join groups of 2s, 3s, 4s and mores later on, and where they're already in their own conversations and you're going to have to interrupt. So far better, get there early. Now when you're there early, you can also meet somebody that's really quite important to you, the host. And the host is the one that first of all will tell you what's going to happen at that event. Always good to know that. And also if that you need to be introduced to somebody, the host is the best person to introduce you. That's their job. You tell them who you want to speak to and they will find a way of interrupting or joining that person and bringing you in. So always find out what's going to happen at the event. So we do this just by asking the host. And they might say, all right, well, what we're planning on tonight is open networking until 7:30. Then there's a couple of guest speakers. And then from 8:30 onwards, there's a buffet and more networking. Then you know what's happening. You feel a little bit more comfortable. And if somebody asks you the question and say, so what's happening here tonight? You know, you're in a better frame of mind than saying, oh, I've no idea. I've just arrived. At least this time you can say, all right, well, I'm not sure exactly, but I think it's open networking until 7:30. Then there's guest speakers on, there's a buffet afterwards. Then that person thinks, it's a good job I met you because you're obviously somebody in the know. The next thing to find out from the host is what the speaker's talking about, if you haven't already done so from the literature. And again, if you understand what they're talking about, when somebody says, oh, what's the speaker talking about? You can say, all right, I think, I'm not exactly sure, but I think it's about how training and development is going to be more important for businesses as we grow and expand out of the recession. Then again, they'll think, this is a good person to talk to. They obviously know what's going on. So a couple of hints and tips there. Then of course you might need to find out about the delegates. There's a bit of a worry about this because many people, if they get a delegate list before they attend, they do some research on the delegates first to see who they're going to talk to. So let's say that one of the delegates you notice is an organisation called Sight and Sound. You've never heard of them before. And you decide to go into the internet and find out more about them. And it turns out the company's just moved into your area just recently in the last few months, and that they've just merged with a bigger organisation and currently they're recruiting. So when you get to the event and you meet the chief executive officer of that organisation, the first thing you do is never tell them what you know about them. Never say, you know, all right, I understand you've just moved into the area and haven't you just merged with another organisation? I see you're recruiting at the moment, because that's a bit eerie, you know, and they can feel internet stalked. It puts it on a different framework. So what you can do with that information is turn it around and ask really interested questions. You can say, so have you always been based in this area? And they'll say, no, actually, we just moved to this patch around about 3 months ago. And you can say, all right, why was that? Then also you could say, so is your organisation independent? No, we just actually merged with an organisation a couple of months ago. Oh, why did you do that? And so the whole thing is you're interested in them and they'll be interested in you. One of the other things you need to find out as well is whether there's going to be food and drink at the event, because it's very difficult to network and build relationships up if you've not eaten for hours and your stomach's singing to you. So watch out for that. But remember, it's networking, not net eating, and certainly not net drinking. On the other side of the preparation and planning, then we need to look at the whole point of the emotional, the physical and the personal preparation. So I'm just going to go through some of those areas now. First of all, because it's emotional, you might feel worried, nervous, anxious, scared. The first thing you need to do before you get into that event is get focused. Positive mental attitude, have a talk to yourself, get yourself in the groove, get yourself in the moment. Don't worry about whether the cat's been fed or whether you've got the things for the meeting tomorrow. When you get there, concentrate on just getting the best out of yourself and other people at the event. Another thing you need to remember is your tools. Now, you don't need a diary system, you don't need your brochures, you don't need DVDs or anything else, because you're not going to sell, you're only going to build relationships and spot opportunities. So the only tools you're going to need are your networking pen and your business cards. That's all you need. And keep them handy. Remember, we've talked about that before. Another thing to prepare and plan is what you're going to say. So how are you going to introduce yourself to people? How are you going to get through the first few questions? And in one of the later episodes, we're going to talk about the small talk questions and the icebreaker questions. Also, you need to think about the answer to the question, what do you do? And again, in a later show, we'll talk about what do you do and the answer to that question and getting the best from that answer. Another thing that you need to think about is your appearance. Am I right on the button? Do I look smart? You know, does everything about me say the right things about me? Not just necessarily the clothes you wear. We talked about the clothes you wear in an earlier show, so I'm not going to go through that process again. But remember, you really need to feel comfortable, and you also need to make sure that what you're saying about yourself is the right thing about yourself and your organisation. So we've done a few things now. We've talked about the invitation, the preparation for the logistics and the event, and some of the emotional, physical and personal side that you'll be feeling and getting ready for before you go to that event. In the next show, we're going to take it to the next stage, actually arriving at the event and how to get the best of those few minutes right at the start and to make those early contacts. So I'm looking forward to seeing you again next session. Bye.